it's Golden Piggies here and welcome back to another video today. So as some of you may know, obviously with TikTok and Twitch and my other YouTube videos, and just if you know me in general, I've been watching anime for quite a while now, not as long as some people, but I feel like I have some general knowledge on some animes. And I feel like from today and now on, I'm going to be start doing anime quizzes, anime tier lists, and today doing an anime tier list. So obviously if you guys don't know, this is Tier Maker. Hopefully everything is in sight and good for you guys. And if you haven't heard of Tier Maker or Tier List Maker before, it's basically a site where people feel free to kind of show their opinions off to other people, and you get boxes from obviously S tier all the way to D tier, or if this one for example it says S to literal shit. And basically it's basically a tier system. So the way it works is S is at the top, S meaning super, great, 10 out of 10, masterpiece, stuff like that, with the tiers going down to the bottom, and the bottom one basically saying no, this is bad, this is D tier, like this is not good, it's a failure, stuff like that. And on the site, there's a lot of different topics, so people can rate their own flags, football teams, animals, anime, movies, Marvel. There's a lot. And today, of course, dun dun dun, we are doing anime. So the way I'm going to do this is we're just going to kind of chat and chill. So I'm just going to go through some of these anime down at the bottom. And like I said, if you want to obviously do this, tier list in general, I'll put the website down in the description box below. But I'll also put this specific one down for you. This is a Shounen anime tier list maker, so this is going to be all Shounen anime, and we're going to rank them from S to this one. The only thing I will say is I am going to change this one down here to, I'm going to change it to not watched, because some of these animes I've looked and eyed at already, and a lot of them, not a lot of them, but there are some in here that I haven't actually seen, and I'll give my opinions on them as a whole if I can, but I can't give my opinion on something I haven't watched. So the first one, and I'm probably going to get cancelled for this, is our boy Attack on Titan. I remember watching Attack on Titan when it first came out. It was about, I think, 2014 when it came out. I could be really, really wrong there. But basically, Attack on Titan, obviously, it came out, and, I feel like I did watch it. So, with Attack on Titan, I have watched the first season. I've also watched the second season, I believe. I don't know whether I watched it and dropped it, or whether I watched all of it. But the thing that I found with Attack on Titan was, it's not necessarily a bad anime. I don't think Attack on Titan's bad, and I know people who know me and I shit on this anime a lot, people are going to be very, very shocked. It's not the fact Attack on Titan's bad to say. I just feel like it was very overhyped, and I think it still is to this day. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with an overhyped anime. I think this first season was good. I remember it. I remember parts of it. And it wasn't bad. I just think that a lot of the anime in that time got obviously overshadowed because of Attack on Titan. And I think it's a great show, and I think the art style and just the sound, and obviously the graphics, especially with like them going around and stuff, I think it's definitely awesome. And I don't think it's in butt cheeks. I think it's, or the D tier. I don't think it's low. I can get why people can put it on S tier, but I just really don't like how overhyped it is. And for me personally, it gets a bit like the same thing like every episode. Like there's a problem and then they try and fix it. Sometimes they do fix it, sometimes they don't. Something goes wrong. It's just a bit of the same thing, really. So this is going to be quick, but I'm going to put it probably on a high B for now. Remember, these are all opinions, so obviously if you are a fan of Attack on Titan, don't come for me. But like I said, I did enjoy the first season, but I just don't remember anything about the second. and I'm not really up to date with it. I've dropped off. We had to wait ages for obviously the next seasons, and like I said, I just ended up dropping off. And there was just other things that were more interesting to me, but like I said, everyone's their own, and like I said again, this is just all my opinion. And like I said, if we put all these on after and I want to change my opinion, then we will. The next one that we have is Black Clover. I think they're still like releasing something, or like a movie's coming out or something. Black Clover's a hard one for me because I remember seeing a lot of hate on it. And then I've actually recently started watching it. I know it's been out, I think since 2016 or something, or 18. Did it come out in 2018? I don't know. But yeah, Black Clover is a weird one. It's hard for me to judge because Black Clover I've actually started watching, but I'm not very far in. I believe I'm on episode like 30ish or something. I've only really just got to the episodes where it started, because kind of like blood boiling, not going up. It's very action packed. I am enjoying it at the moment. Like I said, I've dropped it for a bit and I haven't watched it for a couple of months now. But I am enjoying it. There are issues I can see with the anime. And for my opinion as well, I'm very early on, and like the main protagonist, Asta, I really, really don't like. I don't know if it's because I'm early on into the anime. I don't know whether like it's just me as a person. I don't know if it's because I've watched other animes and the protagonist is not as uptight, because Asta's kind of like not your main kind of protagonist, like uplifted. When you think of like Naruto, Gon, like obviously Goku, main protagonists like that, you think of like kind of cheerful, uplifting spirits. They kind of have like big dreams and stuff. Asta has a big dream, but he's kind of like, he's a protagonist, but he just kind of like has a go at everyone basically. Maybe it's that, but like I said, I am enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the kind of elements of it as well. I like the whole magic and the lore behind it, but again, at the same time, I can't put it in not watch because I have watched it, but I also can't rate it fully because I haven't finished it. But Black Clover, I'd probably stick on a low B, to be honest. I might pop it next to Attack on Titan. But like I said, I haven't finished all of Black Clover yet, so I think that is the best, thing for me to do. Next one, we have Bleach. Now, Bleach is a hard one for me because Bleach is an OG original, and I did watch it when I first started watching anime, and I did really enjoy it. I think Bleach was, I think it was good. I think it was different, and I did really enjoy it. The only problem I have with Bleach is the only part that was kind of good was the first arc, which I believe was the Soul Society arc. I think Bleach wins with like the openings and the music. I think the music was really good, and the characters and the art styles and stuff. It was beautiful. It's very like pop arty. Like everyone had colourful hair, crazy. But if you've watched Bleach, maybe you can understand what I mean, but I watched all of Bleach, and the only thing I can kind of remember and like, I cherish a lot about the show was the first arc in the Soul Society. I feel like they've really introduced the characters really, really well, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it, but I just feel like after that it kind of fell off a little bit. I just feel like there wasn't really like a plot to like the show, and it just fell off a little bit. Some moments were good in other arcs, and like with the fights and the hollows and stuff, and when you kind of get later into the series it's taken more seriously, but I just don't think the plot was taken seriously. I feel like they formed a really good kind of area and like location and plot to this Soul Society, and that's what it was going to be about, and then it just fell off. And as well, Bleach is another one, and I guess I compare it with One Piece and Naruto. When I watch something like Naruto or One Piece, I remember a lot of the characters, even side characters that kind of blend into the background. You know, I remember the ones from obviously when they were kids, and I remember the ones like, you know, some characters from Shippuden as well. You know, it's the same with Hunter x Hunter, it's the same with One Piece as well. But Bleach had so many characters. It had loads of characters, and like main characters. I mean, the cast of main characters was a lot. You know, side characters, the Espada, Hollows, like the Shinigami, like the ghosts themselves. It was hard to keep track, like even the main characters I was kind of forgetting their names. I think I enjoyed Bleach, and like I said, I think with the colours and, you know, the sound, I think it definitely deserves higher. But I think I'd still put it on a C. Like I said, if we're basing it on the Soul Society arc, I'd probably give it an A. But for me personally, I'd probably give Bleach a C. And I actually haven't watched the new one that's just come out. I think it's the Thousand Year Blood War. I actually haven't watched that, and I'm meaning to, but if we're just ranking Bleach this series as a whole, I'm gonna slap it in the C. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think if you want to go try Bleach and you're interested in demons and the supernatural, then I think definitely give it a go. Now, the next one we have is going to be pretty quick and pretty simple for me, and it's just opinionated, of course, is Blue Exorcist. I don't know why, but a lot of people didn't really like Blue Exorcist. I don't think Blue Exorcist is perfect. If we're ranking them as a whole, I have watched the second season, and I was not impressed by the second season. I get what they were trying to do with it, but I think because we waited so long for it, it just kind of like fell off a little bit. But I enjoyed Blue Exorcist. There was parts of it that, you know, was alright. There was parts of it that I feel like they did really well. But I remember watching it, and I remember really enjoying it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters it was building. I liked the atmosphere it was building. And I kind of liked just the world in general. Again, it's not an S for me, but I definitely think it's at least like, I'm going to put it on a B. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to stick that there for now. I might change my, obviously, mind in a second or later, but it's going to go there for now. Next one is, I believe with the writing and with the background, I believe that is Boruto or Boruto. I'm not going to comment too much on this. I've heard bad things, but I haven't actually watched it myself. So we're going to pop it in not watched. I've actually got more anime I haven't watched. Everyone is going to be probably very shocked, but I actually haven't watched Dragon Ball Z or Super. I have watched Dragon Ball, so, you know, people can't come for me loads. Next one, we have the OG original. We have Death Note. I've heard people obviously say that obviously like the manga's better, and obviously I haven't read it, funny enough, but like I said, I'm just gonna base this on the animated series, because like I said, it does say Shounen Anime, and like I said, I've only watched I think Death Note once or twice. I mean, we're not going to talk about the movie, but the anime I think was really, really good. I think for someone that's beginning anime, and for someone that might want to watch anime, and you don't know where to start, Death Note is definitely one to start. And I'm going to say that with the little OG next to it as well. But Death Note is one of those where it's not very long, but it's also not the shortest anime either, but comparing to some of the animes that are out now, it's just different, you know, it gets right into it. There's not much I can talk about Death Note negatively. The only thing I will say is obviously the ending was a bit weird, where they kind of swapped it out, but like I said, I'm not going to say any more than that, so I'm honestly probably going to slap it in a high A. Again, it's not an S for me, but because I'm a girl that doesn't really like crime and drama and stuff like that, I mean, I love a good drama, but crime and kind of like police type, you know, animes don't really, or programs in general, they don't really come to me. But for this, for me, like, this was really good, and I think this is going to be our first little, you know, A, so I'm happy to keep Death Note there. So next one is Fullmetal Alchemist, and it's hard to talk about this one because people would probably slap it in an S, but I think it's definitely good. And obviously, if you guys don't know, I think it is probably one of the most popular animes of all time. That's what it says on Mount anyway. I did like Fullmetal. I've watched Fullmetal Alchemist, and I've watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you've never watched Fullmetal Alchemist, don't worry, just skip straight to Brotherhood. But I think definitely give Brotherhood a go. This is definitely another OG, like back in my early days, and definitely an anime that I wouldn't appeal to until, like, obviously I ended up watching it. Again, I think Fullmetal was good. There were a bit of episodes that kind of like, not were a bit boring, but I kind of like was a bit like, can we like get to the next episode? I can't say too much about it because again, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. A very dark show, but also very hilarious. And like I said, I'm gonna put it in A. And I'd probably watch it. I think it is long, but I feel like I would watch Death Note over it. I don't know. It depends. It depends on the day. Like I said, one's a crime, one's like an action. Next one is one I feel betrayed about, but it's going to have to be done, is Fairy Tail. Now, I went through a Fairy Tail phase. Fairy Tail as well. I think it's definitely one of the first kind of mainstream shounens I've ever watched. Anyways, I did go through a big Fairy Tail phase. I ended up watching Fairy Tail, and then I watched Fairy Tail 2014. I then watched the extras and the OVAs. I was watching AMVs. Oh my god, like AMV like level. I ended up watching Dragon Cry. I ended up watching the movies. I ended up watching the new Fairy Tail that came out recently. When did it come out? Was it like 2018? But looking back, as like, my 13 or 14-year-old self, I liked the premise of Fairy Tail. I liked the whole magic guild type thing. I liked the fact that like there were dragons in it. People had different powers. Like people had the power of obviously strength. People had like ice powers. Lucy, our main girl, like she had like celestial spirit. And obviously Natsu like had the power of like the dragon. I did like that in the terms of the anime. I think that's what they did really, really well. But I think with the anime as well, I think it was just honestly really, really crap. Like the world building I think was good in the plot, but just the way that they did that and created that was just really bad. I've never watched a show with like so much fucking plot armor in my life. It had so much plot armor. It was all like friendship magic, like if we hold hands, like we're not gonna die. It wasn't very serious. Like don't get me wrong, it was funny, but it wasn't very serious at times. And just with the comedy, but with the friendship magic, and with the seriousness and darkness of the show, I don't think it worked very well. And another thing about it as well, I don't mean no hate. I know art styles are obviously art styles, and certain art styles are going to belong to certain people, and I get that. But Fairy Tail characters, oh my god! And I said this on my stream the other day. Fairy Tail characters, they all look the same. Like the main characters have like the same eyes, like they have the same head shape, like they have like the same hair but like different colour. Like it is whack. Genuinely, like it's just not good. Like I feel as though like there was different people, but they had like kind of just the same look, and I was like, well, who is this? But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's parts of it I liked, but I think the show's definitely gotten better, like as it's like got on, but at the same time, they just never kind of got away from this friendship magic type thing. And I definitely think it's good for like, I suppose, a younger audience for that reason. But also in that general category, I'm probably going to say it's Butt Cheeks, the first Butt Cheeks anime. The next anime, I believe that is I see it is Gintama. I haven't actually watched Gintama, so I'm going to put it in not watch. But I've seen hilarious things about it, and I've been meaning to try and watch it for a while now. Next one, and people are going to be kind of shocked by this. I mean, maybe, maybe not. Is Haikyuu. So Haikyuu, obviously, if you guys don't know, it's a volleyball anime. It's basically like a men's tournament kind of team volleyball anime. And you know, it. I remember when like this was around and like people were kind of hating because people were like, oh, like why do you want to watch an anime that's about volleyball? It's boring, like The Sims. Like I said, I really enjoyed Haikyuu, and I think if you're into your sports, you should give it a watch. And it's kind of easy to watch and get into as well. And that's probably why I'd put it at like a high A. I know that's going to be like come across really, really strong. I'm going to put it at like a kind of like a high A. I'm happy to keep it there because, like I said, I enjoyed it, and there's nothing much to the anime. Like, it is literally just men playing volleyball, but the stakes are high. Like, the atmosphere is just crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in there. People are probably gonna be shocked and cancel me for putting it over Attack on Titan. But yeah, that's where I'd put Haikyuu at the moment anyway. So yeah, on to the next one, which is Hunter x Hunter. I'm going to slap this right up in an S tier. I know people are probably going to be like, why is she slapping it up S tier? It's kids. But if you haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, go and watch it right now. No, just kidding. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it. I didn't watch this till about... this is quite recent as well. I watched Hunter x Hunter about, I think, 2-3 years ago now. And like I said, I think it is a fucking masterpiece. People get kind of... What's the word? People don't expect what they're expecting because... They look at the cover, which obviously this is the cover, and they just see kids. They see kids and a man, and they're like, "What is this? What is going on? We're not watching this. How could it ever be good?" Honestly, I think Hunter x Hunter is honestly a 10 out of 10. The only thing I will say, but then obviously in defence to obviously, you know, the creator, obviously Hunter x Hunter, something about like not very well and couldn't finish it. The only thing I hate about obviously Hunter x Hunter is the ending. That's where it feels like it's a bit, you know, that's why I can understand why people probably wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10, because I felt like I watched all of it for like nothing. But like I said, I think it's literally a 10 out of 10. The arcs, tick tick tick. Characters, tick tick tick. Like, you know, the themes in it, just everything about it. Again, like I said, I think everyone should at least give this a go. And especially if you're into kind of like, you know, your One Piece adventure animes, you know, defo like Naruto, I think you should defo give that a watch. Again, S tier, it deserves an S tier. It's a 10 out of 10. And you know, I am looking forward to anything and open to anything in the future about this, but obviously can't have hopes too high. Next one is Hajime no Ippo, I think, which is a boxing anime. I'm gonna stick that in not watched because I haven't actually watched it. JoJo's, okay, right. I'm going to say this as it is and as a whole. I want to rank series as a whole, and JoJo's I'm going to stick in not watched. I have watched it. Right, I have watched JoJo's. I've watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I think, the first one. And honestly, like, in my last year of kind of watching anime, I think I was just watching anime just to pass time. I wasn't really, like, enjoying anything I was watching. I just needed to take a break. That's why I'm still kind of slow with the anime game right now. But like I said, I just think it's not fair for me to kind of judge something I wasn't paying attention to. And there's so much JoJo, like, adventure stuff, that I don't want to rank it as a whole because I've only watched like one and I wasn't even paying attention. You know, I remember the art style and like the beginning of it, but again, I think I'm going to slap it in and not watch because, like I said, I think it's unfair for me to judge something I haven't really paid attention to. So yeah. Again, with Rurouni Kenshin, or Rurouni Kenshin. I want to watch that, but I actually haven't watched it. So I'm also gonna. This is like a massive L right now. Like a lot of the things I'm just slapping in not watched. I apologise. To be fair though, I think the rest, apart from Hitman Reborn and Yu Yu Hakusho, I have. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna stick all the ones I haven't watched in not watched. Again, I want to try and watch Hitman Reborn. And Yu Yu Hakusho, but now we've just got a clean kind of stench of the animu that I've actually watched. Okay, so the next one, and I'm going to speak about it like a little bit, but I'm literally going to put it in, yeah, literally. I don't like Kuroko no Basket. I watched the first season and I watched the second season, and I ended up just watching I think 2 episodes of the second season and dropping it. Completely forgot what happened in the first season, and I literally hate it. I think I've never watched it, but I've seen stuff about it. If I'm gonna watch a basketball anime, I want to watch something realistic, like something like Slam Dunk. I did not like Kuroko no Basket. I didn't really like the characters. I felt like a lot of the characters were like kind of the same, apart from Kuroko, which is obviously like he's kind of like shy. A lot of them I felt like kind of had like the same kind of ego, kind of like the same kind of attitude. You know, they all like basketball, but I really did not like the characters. It was a very colourful anime, like don't get me wrong, like all of them had like different coloured hair. And yeah, the only thing I liked about the anime was Tetsuya. Yeah. Next one is a kind of controversial one, but it's My Hero Academia. Now, the thing is with My Hero, right, I've watched season 1, season 2, and I've watched season 3. So I think it's on its 6th season now or something, so don't get me wrong, I still have like a lot to catch up with. The thing is though, is why does it take 6 seasons for something to get good? Like, why does it take 6 seasons for something good to happen? I like the premise of, you know, My Hero. It's a good anime premise. But the idea, it's been done before. Like, don't get me wrong, they all have different quirks, they all have different powers. They're not like cliche, like normal powers that you see in Marvel or like DC or something. You know, everyone's got a different type of thing, and obviously I like the kind of thing that, you know, Deku obviously doesn't have a quirk, you know, passes it down generation type thing. But it's not an actual solid, different, unique idea. Like, it has been done before. Like, obviously, you know, it's been done by Marvel, DC, you know, there's a lot of things there. It's been done before. And all I'm saying is I've watched 3 seasons, and yes, as much as they might be good and cool, and like the openings and like, you know, the art is amazing, graphics are amazing, I just don't understand why it's got 6 seasons. No, but all I'm saying, why does it take 6 seasons for something to be good? I don't think it's an S tier. Like, I don't really know why people hype about it. But I also don't think it's a bad anime either. It's not a C, but I think for me personally, like as a whole, they're not bad seasons, and it's not a bad anime. But I just don't think. I just don't think it's up there, to be honest. And like I said, I think if you're going to carry on, so I'd rather something be 12 episodes and be a fucking masterpiece than have like 24 eps of like 6 seasons for it to be just kind of like boring and nothing. Not saying it's boring, but again, I think I'm gonna slap it in a B. I think I'd definitely like watch it over Blue Exorcist, especially because there are characters I really admire in it. Like, I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with Tokoyami. He's my husbando, but you know, apart from that, there's nothing that's making me go and watch the other seasons, to be honest. So, yeah. Next anime that we have up in the list is our OG Naruto, and you know, I did like Naruto, to be honest. I liked the openings. It was original, OG. I kind of liked the whole thing of the training, like the battle arcs, the missions. Some people can say the missions were boring, but I kind of liked the whole like friendship and them kind of getting to know each other. There were a lot of plot twists. And like I said, I definitely put Naruto up there. I'm not a huge fan of Naruto series. Same with Shippuden. I'm not a massive fan. I'm not a hardcore fan for Naruto. But I definitely think it's up there. I'd probably put it in a high B, to be honest. Yeah, I'd probably give Naruto a B. Yeah, I can't hate it, but it's not one of my favourites. Um, so I think what I might do as well is, since I'm already rated Naruto, I might rate Shippuden, and I might just pop it. I think I might put Shippuden here, because I think it's definitely a high B, but I just don't think it's anything other than that. And the reason I put Naruto so low, especially Shippuden, is just the amount of filler I had to watch. If you've watched Naruto Shippuden, you understand, but with the seriousness of what's going on in some arcs, and you end up having filler episodes, it was just uncalled for, and I literally hated it, and that's why it is just gonna go there. Next one is Seven Deadly Sins. Seven Deadly Sins is a hard one for me. I am in love with Hawk, the pig, and I am in love with kind of the storyline and what it had to offer. The only thing is I don't know. There's just something about Seven Deadly Sins I just didn't attach myself to. I liked the premise and I liked the adventure of it, but I definitely don't think it's S tier. And everyone goes on about it, and it is a cool anime. But I was not keen on it. I liked the adventuring, and I liked Hawk, but to be honest, I was not keen on the characters at all. Shockingly, yeah, I just wasn't keen on the characters. I'm gonna have to slap it on a C. I think I'd prefer to watch it over Bleach. If I compare in Bleach just for the Soul Society arc, I'd definitely put it in front. But Bleach as a whole, I'd probably rather watch the Seven Deadly Sins. But I am being a bit biased because it does have a pig in it, and obviously I am the Golden Piggies. So the next anime that I'm briefly going to talk about a little bit, but also not much, because it is definitely one of my favourites. If it was me talking when I'd first watched this anime, I'd definitely slap it up in an S tier. But for me, Noragami was top tier for me. I think it really shows the kind of culture of Japan itself, but it also kind of shows the respect of gods. Again, this anime is a supernatural one. And I'm glad it's on here as well, because there's a lot of people that don't really like Noragami, but then I've also known a lot of people to really adore Noragami. I think the art style in it is really pretty. I think on the side of the supernatural, especially in the colours, I think the contrast of demons and supernatural being actually dark it's kind of funny to me. The whole element of demons being dark and things being dingy, and just here on the art style now, the fact that these characters are standing out on this kind of dark dingy background. The story is pretty simple to follow. It's simple, and it's funny, and it's dark, and it's heartwarming as well. And for me, I think I liked the mix of drama and comedy on it as well. Honestly, it can be so dark, but it can be so hilarious as well. Yato is the main character. Yato, he's definitely one of those characters where he can flip like that. It's giving main protagonist vibes. I'd definitely give this an A, and I am going to put it over Death Note and Full Metal, just because I do have to put my opinion onto this as well. Again, if you're getting into anime or you haven't watched Noragami, I suggest you go and give it a watch. So yeah, another fan favourite of mine is One Piece. Now, people hate on One Piece a lot. Like, every time I talk to someone about One Piece or have you watched One Piece, everyone always use that same excuse. Oh, no, I don't like One Piece, it's too long. But to say that an anime is shit or that you don't like it because it's long is a bit unfair. I think, me personally, I do have a thing with pirate type stuff. Love Pirates of the Caribbean, love Shipwrecked, love Treasure Island, Muppet Treasure Island, Swift Family Robinson. I like everything like that. I love Sea of Thieves, love the game. So again, I'm very heavy on that anyway. But One Piece is another one that looks a very kind of, peaceful and cute and funny, but it's very dark. And I get it's long and it is a daunting task. But like I said, I really enjoy One Piece. I think it's got a good kind of storyline on it, and it's also sticking to that storyline, but it's also making it fun and approachable as well. And I'm not gonna obviously defend it 100%. There's obviously gonna be parts, it does have 1,000 episodes. There's gonna be parts where it drags, and that episodes just don't need to be there. But all I'm saying is, I think it has a good range of characters, and when I compare it to Bleach, One Piece has a lot of main characters and a lot of cast, and you remember everyone. And I was one of these people. I was like, I'm never gonna watch it because it's too long, and honestly, it's changed my life. Again, I think if you just give the art style a chance, just give it a chance, just watch a couple of episodes, and I think there's a lot more people that would enjoy One Piece. And again, what you've got to understand is it's, I think, the best-selling manga of all time, and that's obviously for a reason, a clear reason, and that's obviously because it's good and enticing. And as much as I love my Hunter x Hunter and it's shorter, One Piece still overrules it for me. So the next anime we have is One Punch Man. One Punch Man's an interesting one because I don't hate this anime, but I wasn't like a massive fan of it either. I remember when it first came out and people were like hyping about it a lot. But also at the same time, I feel a little bit unfair because I genuinely don't remember like much about the anime. I keep saying anime, I'm so sorry. But I just remember Genos and obviously Saitama. Like, I just remember them teaming up. I don't think it was necessarily a bad anime. I think it was actually kind of funny in the sense that, like, it was different because it was the whole premise of, one tap, one punch, like, enemy's dead. And I just love the fact that it kind of, like, took the piss, to be honest. But I still don't think it's top tier. For me personally, I think I'm just gonna put it on a straight B, because again, I think it was definitely funny. Season 2, I wasn't a fan of, but I think I would. I think out of both projects, I think I am more of like a fan of Mob Psycho 100, to be honest. I just think it's a bit more funny and over there, but I did really enjoy it still, but again, it's a bit unfair because some parts I don't remember, but like I said, we are going to put it up in a B. I'm thinking it's definitely a high B. I think I'm going to pop it like right here or something. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it there because Naruto's obviously long, but it's just this is short, and I did enjoy it, and I feel like these two are kind of like maybe on the same tier, but I think I'd rather watch these than One Punch Man. That's the way I'm trying to see things anyway. The next one we have as well is another kind of throwback, and it's funny actually about Soul Eater because when I first watched it, I got recommended Soul Eater by a friend, and it was when I started watching anime, and my friend at the time was like, oh, you know what you should watch Soul Eater. So I took his request by watching it, and I got to the opening and I dropped it because I immediately didn't like the art style. Looking back, there was nothing wrong with it. It's just because I was so used to like like kind of 2000s kind of look to like anime. not saying everything was a bit boring, but everything was kind of drew the same. And I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to like the big eyes that were like kind of like one colour, the one texture, the kind of like 2D kind of like, art style. But then I ended up going back a few years later and watched it again. And I remember I was hooked on it for a very long time. Again, I was in that AMV stage. I was watching the openings. Like I think I finished it within like a week or something. I enjoyed it, and I liked the whole thing of like them being at the school and like the academy, and then doing like different tasks, like getting upgrades, and then they're like, their weapons being people, but them having like tight bonds. But I really enjoyed Soul Eater. If I could go back and watch it for the first time again, I would, and I've been contemplating reading the manga for it as well. I definitely think it's up there. I think it's definitely on a B. I'm probably gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it between One Punch Man and these, and the last and but not least anime, which I'm glad that this one's come last actually, because I feel like out of a lot of these things, I know One Piece gets updated every now and again, and obviously like we've got obviously My Hero, but this is very recent. Promised Neverland, I believe, is around the 2019-2021 mark. I can't speak for the second season because I watched that and I just was very, very disappointed. But speaking on the first season alone, I really enjoyed it. I think it was well portrayed. It looks a bit like Hunter as well. It looks a bit like, oh, there's kids on the main screen. It's not going to be, it's not going to be as good. But it was honestly amazing. It lives up to the manga as well. Like a lot of anime this day and age, like, sometimes it's like side by side view of like which is better, but I think it was definitely on par. The only thing I will say about this, but not really revealing too much about it, is sometimes I don't like the wait between like the takes, the suspense. Suspense is all good in my eyes, but the suspense, and when it's like drawn out for so long, it can kind of kill the mood a little bit. And surprisingly as well, you wouldn't think it, but yeah, The Promised Neverland is a shonen. You wouldn't think it. You'd think it's either a shoujo or at least like not even in that category at least. But I definitely think everyone should go and give Promised Neverland a watch. It's very new. The art style is very up to date. It's very good. It's very well put together. The story is chef's kiss. And yeah, like I said, if you're into your horror animes, if you're into kind of like shock horror, suspense, like type, topics, then this is a good watch. And it's a very easy watch as well. I remember finishing, I think, Neverland in like a day or two. And I think that's when I had college or something. I don't know. I think this was in the lockdown period, so I think it would make sense if I would have finished it in a day. But again, it was well put together, and it's very, very scary. And again, I liked the whole thing of it doesn't look like an anime that would scare you, but it does. And yeah, again, it's not an S tier for me, but I definitely think I'd put it up in A tier, and I'd even, I think, put it between Full Metal and Death Note, just because it's hard to compare all these. We've got a supernatural, we've got a crime, we've got a horror, we've got an action adventure, and we've got a sport anime. These are very, very hard to compare, but in my eyes, I would rather go and watch The Promised Neverland than these two again. But obviously it depends on the time of day, because like I said, these are all different. So yeah, like that's all I've got to say on The Promised Neverland. And again, if you haven't watched it, go and give it a watch or a read. It's definitely worth it. So that is actually, I think, going to be the end of the tier list. We only had like about I think 20 animes there. How many is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So about 30 animes. We had about 30 animes. And like I said, I do need to get on my anime game again though. I do want to try and finish the Dragon Ball thing, or at least get onto Z. Like I said, I've watched Dragon Ball. I haven't watched obviously Z or Super. So if I can at least watch Z, and maybe as well we watch a little. I do want to watch Gintama as well, and maybe I could come back to this tier list and maybe do it again. But I'm happy with this order again. I think the S tiers are very well deserving, and as much as I don't want to say, but I think these two are where they belong in my eyes anyway. But again, I think these are all solids. I think obviously these are like 10 out of 10s. These are kind of like 9s, your 8s. These are like, you know, your goods. These are kind of like your 6s out of 10s kind of. And these are kind of like 6 and below really. But yeah, like I said, I need to get on my anime game with watching a little bit more. But I'm alright though, like considering out of about 28 animes and I've only got 3, 6, 9. 9 animes, and to be fair, I have watched JoJo. It's just, like I said, I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, like I said, I appreciate everyone very much for watching. I know it's been a quick one, but like I said, for my first little kind of anime video, I've kind of really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed rating them and sharing my opinions. And if you want more videos like this, then let me know, because I can create tier lists myself. That's sort of thing with the site, that you can create your own tier lists and make your own lists, and you know, add your own photos in. If anyone wants me to do any more anime ones, if someone wants me to do completely different ones out of the blue, then let me know as well. I'm always down. It costs nothing to get my web browser up and just do this for you guys. I will be saving this and maybe putting it online, so again, if anyone wants to obviously look at my order again, then you're more than welcome to. And if anyone has any recommendations, or they want me to give them a recommendation for an anime, then let me know. I'll also think about maybe putting my mail down in the description box below, just so obviously you can always look at my recommendations, you can look at my reviews. And that's another thing I want to start doing as well, reviews, because it's always good talking about animes obviously in quick little segments, but it'd be nice to do like a little detailed review of different animes. But like I said, if anyone has any ideas or topics for videos they'd like to see, just let me know obviously in the comments section. Obviously go follow me on that TikTok, which I'll be putting in the description box below. Again, all my socials I'll be putting in the box below, so if anyone wants to comment or, you know, give me, you know, some video ideas, then I'm all more for it, and I love doing these little videos for you guys. But that has been it today. I appreciate everyone very much for coming. If you enjoyed the video, please like it if you want more videos like this one, and again, subscribe to the channel because it helps us out. And if you haven't already, I will be putting all my socials in the box below from my Twitch. So I stream on twitch.tv at Golden Piggies. So if you want to see more kind of live streams down there, then go down there and give me a follow, because again, it is appreciated. And again, I'll be putting my TikTok and Instagram. So if you want to see highlights from Twitch, if you want to see highlights from YouTube, funny moments, scary moments, heartwarming moments, and posting more of my personal life, then please go and follow those. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you later, guys. Bye.